Hey, Ron Michael Galloway here with We Don't Need No Stinking Record.com, and today is the 365th video log post out of 365 days, and I'm back where I started, back in my little tiny office in my little corner of the world here. Anyway, so I'm very excited, and I'd like to do a quick recap, some thank yous, and let you know where we're going from here. Of course, what I've been talking about is how to build your band, get your gear, make some news, and rock the world. And in doing so, we talked about choosing your genre, we talked about selecting your bandmates and your support team. We talked about selecting and learning how to operate your equipment, about writing and selecting your songs, about recording and producing yourself, about presenting yourself on stage, stagecraft kind of stuff, and promoting your music and your merch and selling your CDs. So that's what we've been talking about. You want to find out a little bit more about that, www.gigster, G-I-G-S-T-E-R, gigsterclinics.com. www.gigsterclinics.com is where you can get my books and get it all organized in one place. But poke around the videos, you'll learn an awful lot for free. So through all this, we've talked to a lot of people and have gotten inspired and instructed by folks who have blazed the trail for us, and a lot of them are still around to help us. And I'd like to go through that list real quick and give you, give them some shout outs and thank yous. And so specifically, we got, excuse the glasses, I can't read all this, it's a very long list, but anyway, Barry Dvorzan, who invented MasterWriter, a songwriting tool, which is fantastic. He also wrote the SWAT theme and Nadia's theme back in the 70s, were both #1 hit records, and they were instrumentals. I don't know if anybody else has done that. He also was a songwriter for the Carpenters. And so very cool stuff. C. Aaron Moore, a friend of mine who's a degreed filmmaker and makes music videos and other shorts. We learned a lot about him. Chuck Rainey, bassist for Steely Dan, Roberta Flack, Jackson Browne, and a whole bunch of others. He talked to us about how session work has and has not changed. And we talked to Dan Scott Parr, affectionately known by his fans as Dano. And he's done a really great job of identifying a niche and marketing to that. He's just a couple of years into it and has been pretty successful at it so far. David Craver at openmic.us, that's openmic.us, who does open mic programs worldwide and has got some social media stuff out there to help you. David Williams of Vault Studios Houston on recording techniques, particularly for drums, and he used to play drums for people like Hall & Oates, and so Diana Ross and a few others. So that was pretty cool. Ked of Ked Records, who has identified a niche and sold a lot of CDs, and he told us how to do that. Keith Rust and his crew from Crystal Clear Sound Studios in Dallas. We toured his very large facility, recording studio facility, and looked a lot of the pieces of it. Madeline Sklar, the indie music coach on social networking for musicians, and she came back several times to talk, and love talking with Madeline. She's been a friend and good supporter, and hopefully I've done the same for her. We talked to Mark Pacheco of Aloft Hotel in Frisco, Texas, who was the GM there at the time, and he talked to us about the receiving end of the material, the promotional material that we pass out to clubs, and how it gets us in and helps us. Talked to Professor Pooch, also known as David Spangenberg. Expect more from David and I. He is an expert inside out on legal issues in the music business and helped us understand a lot of that stuff. Randy Treadway of InTheMusicRoom.com, and not only about talking about America and Texana music and original music in North Texas, but how to become the hub of a music community, which he has done. Ron Logan on home recording engineering, and he's an engineer and producer locally who helped us at his a place that we jokingly call Shabby Road Studios. Understand recording and producing yourself in a very small, tight situation, and the plugins that you'd need to get a good recording and get the most out of your recording equipment in that kind of a situation. Steve Anderson of Anderson Music Services on stringed and fretted instruments and their setup and care and feeding, some of that stuff. Tom Creason from Texas Musicians Museum, some Texas music stories, including the mysterious case of the Big Bopper's casket, which he's displaying there actually at that museum. My contemporaries have been very supportive. We'll mention Madeline Sklar, who I mentioned before, Bob Baker. I mentioned also Professor Pooch. I'd like to mention Ariel Hyatt of Ariel Publicity, and George Del Barrio, also known as Jeebs from Talk Music Biz. Got some great stuff out there. Derek Sivers, who is kind of the young grandfather, guru of indie music and founder of CD Baby. And Derek, I particularly appreciate the support that I got, specific support that I got from you and your encouragement. Also, I have a few others to directly thank personally, and that is Chad Ireland, drummer extraordinaire, true friend, great supporter of this stuff. Chuck Green of Sea Green Landscaping. If I had to do all the maintenance around my house that he and his team have done for me, this never would have gotten done. I'll post a whole thing on him soon because I've got an endorsement for him. My neighbors, Jerry, Rosie, Tom, and Dave, who put up with all the sounds coming out of this house. Jimmy Clark, my co-producer, musician, and best friend that anybody could have. He kept me rolling during my last car accident, kept me rolling down the road. Matthew Gaskins of Neighborhood Arts and Music School, who's been an advisor, supporter, and the guy who seems to be able to play everything from sarod to bass and sing along with it while he's playing. Michael the Mudcat Reams, who just came out with a great new CD, along with John South and Sam Moore, Dan Hart, all Collin County Songwriters Association. Chad Ireland was in there as well. And they've been kind of my laboratory for an awful lot of this stuff, and they've been fantastic. My family, Jenny, Alex, Max, who's my mascot. Aaron, by the way, Aaron, congrats on completing Air Force basic training. Huge, huge thing. We're all terrifically proud and excited for you. My brother and sister Jill and Dan, my brother and sister Rosalie and Ran, great contributions to keeping me going through a lot of craziness over the last year. And also thanks to Millie, my mom. This absolutely would not have happened without her ongoing support that you have benefited from as a listener and viewer. So thank you all very much for hanging in there and helping me out so much. So what's coming up? Well, a couple of things. I'm going to keep going. And the thing is, I'm going to slow down a little bit because I've decided it's important to try to stay married. So one of the things I'd like to do is I'd like to play you a few more of my songs and tell you how I got there and talk about the composition, songwriting stuff in there. I did come out of a background where I was a songwriter with Columbia Screen Gems in New York and a few other major publishing companies, and I have a lot to offer and share there. So how does it turn out in my own songs? I'd kind of like to show a little bit more of that. I did that for a few posts, and that was a lot of fun, but I really want to sing some of them and break them down. I'd like to show you a little bit more of what's coming out of InTheMusicRoom.com, Randy Treadway and Helen Kennedy's site and listening room down in Waxahachie, Texas. A lot of Americana, a lot of Texana, and a lot of songwriting from this area and from around the country is stopping by there to play. Some very, very cool stuff. Maybe we can do some live broadcasts. I'm not sure what we can work out rights-wise with that, but we're going to try, and if nothing else, we'll do some interviews and things like that. I want to do a few sections on music and a form of autism called Asperger's syndrome. First of all, I want people to understand what Asperger's is, and I want you to know that there are more of these people around you than you can possibly imagine. I've personally been gifted by this condition, along with at least three, if not four members of my family, and way down the chain into my ancestry. And the more we were to understand about this, the more we might be able to understand what benefits these kinds of people could bring to you and this industry and a lot of others. It is not what you would call a debilitating disease. It is a condition that actually has got quite a few cool things and a few strange, difficult things to manage. But we have a particular affinity to music, many of us do, and I need to talk about that link because it's a direct tie into the structure of how we think. So that's a little bit about what's coming up. I am Ryan Michael Galloway. We don't need no sneakingrecordcompany.com. I hope I've proved that to you over and over again, and I hope you'll come back, continue to talk, discuss, comment, disagree, agree, whatever you like to do, and we're all going to get there, get our careers down the road. And if we want to work with the record companies, we'll do it from a position of strength and not from going to them with our hat in our hands. Again, Ryan Michael Galloway, We Don't Need No, StinkingRecordCompany.com. Stay with me, and thank you.